Brad Molloy, goalkeeper.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Players in Focus podcast, our new podcast series, which is going to be once a fortnight, a different player every fortnight to really get us through this lockdown period until we start playing again. And our first guest, as you can see towards the right or the left of my screen, depending on how you're viewing it, it is one of our goalkeepers, Mr. Bradley Molloy. How are you, Brad?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. So, we obviously know you're a Dumbo player, but let's take you back to the start of your journey. We're going to take you back to being a little child. So, what was your kind of first memory of football? Where did that come about?
My dad's always been an Orient supporter. He took me to my first ever game, and it was an Orient v Yeovil Johnson Paint game. And I remember F.A. Soje, the old Yeovil centre back. Ball came out for a throw in, and I got the ball, just caught the ball, and then threw it back to him. And ever since, some reason, I've been hooked with football.
Okay, well, that wasn't the game where David Mooney scored the last-minute goal, was it? And everyone jumped up on the barriers.
About 2004.
Oh yeah, no, that was well before my time when I started going. And so obviously that was your kind of first in live experience of being at a game. But was there any kind of games when you watched on TV? I know for myself, the first everything I knew of football was sitting there randomly one day coming back, putting the telly on, and I think it was the FA Cup final when Liverpool beat Arsenal when they come from behind and Michael Owen scored two. So was there any kind of TV moments that kind of got you into, oh, Dad, take me to the football?
Probably after, actually. Probably about two. For some reason, the first game I remember was actually the FA Cup final. It was Liverpool v West Ham. I think it's 2005, 2006-ish. Or I was away on holiday, and I remember England playing Portugal in the World Cup, and Rooney I think, got sent off. So, for some reason, I can remember my first ever live game before I watched it on TV. I don't know why, but yeah.
And obviously, you'd been at Orient, you start watching all these Leighton Orient games as you're growing up.
Yeah.
And then you obviously decide you want to start playing football as a young lad. You want to go and do what they're doing. So how did playing football at like a Sunday league level, junior level come about? And was you always a goalkeeper?
Funny enough, no. My stepdad's always been my local Sunday league keeper, manager, and we was playing Epping Town when I was about under sevens or eights, and we was 3-0 down at half time, and the keeper just didn't want to play, so he looked around. He was like, "Well, we need someone to go and goal," and I was like, "Okay, I'll go and goal." I was sub at the time. I was playing left mid. And I was like, okay, I'll go and goal. With 3-0 down, got nothing to lose. And then saved 2 penalties, and unfortunately still lost 3-2. And then ever since, he was just Sunday League manager, and it came to about under 15s where we'd playing Bishop Stortford's over Grange Paddocks, and we won 3-2. And that night, I remember a phone call from a guy, and he was like, "I'm Mildenhall Town's manager," and I was like, "Oh, okay." I came to watch your game today. I was like, "Oh, really?" And he was like, "Yeah, you played really well." And I was like, "Thank you." And he just said, "I've been watching you, and I've heard about you for a while, and I would like you to come over and play for us at Mildenhall Town." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then that's really how I started my let's say semi-pro kind of way, just through getting scouted by some guy, just having one good game, and ever since, yeah, really.
Okay, fantastic. And kind of in that young period where you're still a boy and you're yet to step up towards men's football, who would
Yeah.
you kind of say your footballing idols were, like the players that you looked up to and wanted to be like?
I remember when I was young. I remember Casper Schmeichel quite well. I remember seeing. Obviously, his went on to be one of like the best keepers to grace football. But I remember him. He was at I think it was Leicester as I was growing up and I was a keeper, and I was like, he's going to be the next best thing. In a way, he has. He's won the Premier League title, but I've always kind of looked up and thought, yeah, I want to be that. I kind of even like nowadays when I watch how he makes saves and spreads himself, I still try and learn that way. And yeah, I just watch some YouTube videos of him, and try and do that in my game as well.
And then we're going to fast forward a little bit. So you play your Sunday league football, and then you obviously step into semi-pro football. So how did that transition come about, and how did you find that transition?
At first, it was really quite daunting and quite scary in a way because my first ever game was with Mildenhall, and we played Biggleswade Town, and I came on because we had two keepers, so I came on and played second half, and my first like bit of action was like 30 seconds in. I remember they had a cross, and it landed to like the edge of the box, and the guy just volleyed it, and I remember just tipping over the bar, and I remember getting like loads of praise and stuff like that, and it was still quite surreal. Even like now, when I think about it, it's quite surreal because I remember the whole day building up to it, I was so nervous, and when it happened, I was still like, what's going to happen here? Because it could have been, um, it could have gone to be much bigger in the way I could have gone and started playing the first team. Because I remember on that summer, I was training with the first team, and just around, I was doing my GCSEs and stuff at the time, and I broke my ankle, and I couldn't get back fit, and just kind of that's how that side of that ended, which was quite upsetting at the time. But yeah, it was real surreal experience going from like Sunday league to semi-pro, playing with like better quality players, learning new stuff. It was really good, yeah.
And then, like you said, you've had that ankle injury, which we'll talk about later because it's kind of a recurring problem, isn't it? And
Yeah.
then you've got leave Midenhall. Sorry, where'd you go to then?
Um, I went to a team called Bishop Stortford Swifts, where Billy Cove is at the moment. I was with another manager called Grant Alabaster. I knew him from my Sunday league kind of stuff, and he knew I was trying to get back fit, wanted to play football, and he gave me the opportunity at that level. And it was really good to be because it's my first. That was still even with Milton, I was still in like the youth kind of way and still working my way up. And that was my first real ever senior kind of football experience. And it's quite like weird because it was like you've gone from playing with kids to like full grown men, all different ages. And it was a really good experience playing for them. I played for them for like 2 and a bit years, I think. About 2 years, yeah.
And then from there, sorry, Brad, to interrupt. So I thought
Yeah,
we must apologise if this does lag when you're watching it. It's because of obviously the Wi-Fi issues. So that's what we've got to contend with. Now, when I started knowing you, you was just coming towards the end of your Stortford Swifts and going
yeah,
into Epping. Obviously,
yeah,
Billy Cove was the manager at Epping there. And funny enough, it's not probably the only time I'm going to ever be able to say this with any of our players because I don't play myself. I actually played in your debut for Epping Town against
yeah,
Walthamstow, which was Walthamstow's first ever game as Walthamstow, I believe. Obviously, Ryan Maxwell, which obviously the Dumbo fans will know well, was in charge that day. So you go from that pre-season game in Epping, it's over at St John's, and then things really do start to pick up a bit that season.
yeah, it did. I remember about a week or two later, we were told we got invited to play in the Water Toll Cup against Clacton at the Spotted Dog ground. And that was a real big experience because it was 2-0 down quite early on. Like, I won the goals to my fault. And then second half, we was a completely different team. I've never seen a team at that level because we was Essex Olympian, I think 4 at the time. And there was Essex Senior, still rebuilding. And we came out, with 1-3-2. It was an unbelievable comeback. And then that season, where most people know, we went on to get promoted during unbelievable run with the Cove.
Yeah, like you say, Epping had a fantastic season, and then obviously people will know what followed. That's not for us as a football club to mention on another football club, obviously the bad side of things. So from there, when you left Epping, there was a bit of a transitional spell before you joined Dumbo. So what was that kind of transition? Was there ever a plan to join Dumbo at that time? Was you getting yourself fit? How did obviously the transition into becoming a Dumbo player come about?
Well, it was oh god, it was various kind of clubs I was going trial with and going to train. And I remember Ryan Maxwell just messaged me on WhatsApp when I was at work saying, with like, he saw I put something on Twitter and he was like, I would like you, can you want to come over and train with us? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then on that week, we were supposed to play, I think it was Bellevue, team of top of league at the moment, in my first game. And we just didn't happen. The game got postponed. And then it was like 3 or 4 weeks after I signed until we actually first played our game. Because we carried on training all that time, obviously due to the weather and then COVID and stuff. It was about 3 or 4 weeks after I signed, I actually made my debut.
I come in, we play one game. You're injured at the time, I believe. Actually, no, you was running in the line, wasn't you?
I was supposed to play that game, and because of the whole like COVID and postponements, I never got around to signing the forms, so I just wasn't allowed to play in that game. That I forgot we played that day. We won 2-1. I weren't able to play, so I had to unfortunately be on the bench and be linesman for that game.
Yeah. So obviously that game you were talking about was Headingham's, which was a 2-1 victory to us against Headingham's United. So obviously that Headingham's United game was the last game that we obviously participated in winning. And then first game at Braintree Town, we all get excited. We all think, come on, like the season's going now. See, my first game, my only game with the club. And then the season stops. So obviously since then, obviously James Pellin played in that game against Headingham's United, as we know. So there's 2 goalkeepers. So I guess kind of talked me into the mentality of being a goalkeeper, because if you're a striker or a centre back, you know that you're both going to get into the squad.
Yeah.
When you're a goalkeeper, only one goalkeeper can play there, and it's very unlikely you're going to be subbed on or subbed off, unless it's a friendly, there's an injury, or they're absolutely having a howler and they need to come off for their own good. So how do you kind of build that relationship with another goalkeeper? Is it friendly? Is there a rivalry there? Because ultimately you both want to play the game.
I've been lucky. I've met James or at Henham, the game we played, and we get on well. You just got to kind of bounce off each other. Like you take tips of what he's doing, and he learns from. Obviously, he's more experienced, and I take tips off him. And you just got to have a good relationship with another goalkeeper, because at the end of the day you've got to train with them. You've got to be competitive, but it's in any world. If you know what I mean, any job in the world, doesn't matter if it's any industry. You've got to be competitive and be the best you can and outperform people. And it's just a brutal fact of you've got to train well, and when you get your chance, you've got to take it. Really, that's really what it comes down to.
And obviously, we've gone through your journey. Obviously, we keep these podcasts short for obviously viewer purpose-wise, obviously to make sure they watch all of it and get all the information. So I guess the kind of last question for yourself, and I'm going to ask this question to everyone we do this with. We're not full-time players. I'm not a full-time media man for Dumbo. You're not a full-time player. Right. How hard is it to balance that work life with training and then playing games? Because we might play a Tuesday night game. You don't get back till 11 o'clock, but you're up at 5 o'clock for work, for example. Yeah. How hard is that mentally and physically to keep going?
Well, I would find with me personally, I can just be my age as well. When you know you got football, you got something to look forward to. It doesn't matter how quick the next day or how quick until football. You just look forward to football. Really, it doesn't matter if I finish at 11 or I start at we'll say the game's at 6, you've got to be at 6, you finish at 5. You just look forward to it. It's the whole day you look forward to football. So I find it quite easy, to be honest. Yeah, quite easy to kind of work with both.
Well, thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. We know that these times are hard. This is why we're going to bring you as much content as we can, when we can throughout this time. Hence this new series, Players in Focus, which will be every fortnight, as I reiterated at the beginning of the podcast. And of course, our Keeping Up with the Dumbos will continue throughout once a month. Now, we know that football may be a way away, but let's keep positive. It does mean every day that goes by is one day closer. So I'm going to let Brad kind of finish, but please subscribe. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Not only does it help us out for next season in terms of filming and streaming live on YouTube, it also means the 100 subscriber hoodie to be won is still in grabs. I think we've got 45 subscribers last time I counted. Remember, you enter that competition, the 100th subscriber wins it, and whoever a random person that entered the competition will win it. So the competition is still going on. We've not forgot about you guys, but we need to hit 100. So we're going to end this podcast, this Players in Focus, with Brad Molloy's words on what he wants to say to potential supporters coming down to support us next season.
Well, let's start. Dumbo is probably one of the most ambitious teams in the area, I would say. Like, even with Epping, that was ambitious, but this is on a whole new level. The size of the grounds, or the ground we play in, and the players we're recruiting, we're going to go places. The club Dumbo will go places for sure. So thank you for having me on, Jake.
That's not a problem. Take care, Royals fans, and up the Dumbo.